Your employees are already using AI, but most leaders just don't know it yet. And honestly, the biggest risk to your company right now isn't the technology, it's actually the silence that's all around it. Welcome to Dataliction Essentials. My name is John. And this episode is specifically for leaders who are trying to figure out what AI actually means for their teams right now. And not the hype, not the headlines, of course. The real everyday reality of what your employees are already doing with these tools. Because whether you planned it or not, AI has already entered your organization. Just trust me, I've seen the data. And the question isn't whether or not it's happening. The question is whether you're paying attention. Okay. So, one of the most common questions that we get to hear from leaders all around, it's very simple. Hey, do you think my employees are actually using AI? And again, the honest answer is yes. In fact, if you're a leader and think your team isn't using tools like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, Copilot, those are the kind of the main four, then there's a really good chance that you just don't really know that they are. And that's the real concern right now, because as a leader, you can only manage what you actually know. And when AI is happening quietly across your organization, what that means is that you and your organization are operating without visibility. What's interesting is that the fears that people had about AI, about a year ago, haven't actually played out the way that we kind of expected. And, maybe someone had projected this, but at first, a lot of employees thought that their jobs might disappear overnight. And, I get it. I know those feelings. There was a lot of anxiety about being replaced. And, people were asking questions like, if AI can write this report and draft this email, then what value do I really bring anymore? But as soon as people started actually using these tools, something else became clear. AI can generate tasks, sure, many of them, but that doesn't mean it replaces the human behind the work. Okay, so let me unpack that just a little bit. This is really where, an important distinction shows up. Knowledge is knowing what to do. Wisdom is knowing when to do it, how to do it, and with whom to do it. AI can generate words. AI can summarize documents, it can suggest ideas, but wisdom still belongs to people. It's the human judgment that decides whether the suggestion is right and whether the tone feels appropriate, whether the moment is correct. Anyone who has used these tools long enough has seen it happen. The output might be, technically correct, quote unquote, but something about it just feels off. Have you felt that yet? A word choice is wrong. The tone feels robotic. The nuance isn't quite there. That instinct, that sense that something doesn't feel right, that is human wisdom at work. And this is why it's helpful, okay? Super helpful to remember something so simple. AI is not the archer. AI is the arrow. The quality of the outcome still depends on the person holding the bow. Give someone, the most advanced bow and arrow in the world, they still need time to learn how to use it. The tool doesn't replace the skill, it amplifies it. Does that make sense to you? I love that analogy. Another thing that's becoming really clear is that relationships still sit at the center of business. Most organizations operate on trust, whether it's a vendor relationship, a customer relationship, a long-standing partnership. Trust is what holds the system together. It is the currency. AI can help produce things. It can help draft ideas or summarize information, but it isn't the one building relationships. When a client calls you during a difficult moment, they're not calling a chatbot. They're calling someone that they want to trust. And that leads to a really, really interesting realization. For years, businesses believed that faster output, higher volume, and these things were the ultimate competitive advantage. Produce more, move faster, scale harder. But now that anyone can generate massive amounts of content basically instantly, The real value is shifting. It's no longer about producing more. It's about knowing what actually matters. What actually matters. Creativity isn't just generating ideas. Sure, that's maybe the first step, but real creativity is knowing what to remove. It's the edit. It's the ability to look at a pile of information and say, this is the part that matters. AI can generate 10 pages of notes about a meeting in seconds, but a real leadership skill is deciding which 3 sentences are actually worth acting on. So if employees are already using AI, like we were talking about at the beginning of this episode, what should you, as a leader, actually start to do about it? Well, I'm going to share with you. The first step, I think, is pretty simple. Ask. Yeah, sure. Ask. Have the conversation. Instead of pretending the tools aren't there, turning a blind eye, start by finding out how your team's already using them. What problems are they solving? Or what are they trying to solve, at least, as they're exploring? What tools actually are helping them? What workflows have changed that they're experimenting with? And when leaders create space for those conversations, they start gaining the visibility they need to make better decisions. The second step in any organization is, many teams end up stacking AI subscriptions, the same way people have stacked on streaming services. I'm super guilty of this. I'll try something out, forget to cancel it. I get it. One tool for writing, one for design, one tool for coding, one tool for meeting. And long before long, companies are then paying for 5 different tools all to do kind of the same thing. And so sometimes the most effective move isn't adding. It's simply getting everyone kind of aligned into 1 or 2 that are actually serving your organization well based on the data that you're getting back and the feedback from your team. The third step is going to be this. Okay, listen. It's trust. Your employees are the ones closest to the work. They're the ones that are experimenting with workflows and testing prompts and discovering, creative ways to start using these. And it's all happening in real time for them with the actual work. And when leaders listen to their teams, they gain insight to where AI is actually helping and then also where it's not yet helping. But there's also a sense of urgency here the longer that an organization does wait. Okay, I'm not trying to scare you. I just want to encourage you. The longer you wait, the more deeply employees will become attached and actually using these tools. AI systems are learning from context. Okay, and so they're learning how you write, your patterns, and over time, you get really embedded into, using that tool because they know how you work. And if a leader all of a sudden tries to switch systems after a year or two, it can feel less like changing software and almost like asking someone to change their own identity. I know that sounds wild, but that's the way it feels. So that's why conversations really do need to start happening soon. You don't need to make choices right now, but have conversations right now, like today. Leaders don't need to walk into a room with answers. They need to be curious enough to just ask the right questions. What tools are you using? What problems are you solving? And where is it actually helping? Because once you know those things as a leader, then you can start making better decisions. At the end of the day, the real challenge of AI, it's not the technology. Hear me out. It's not the technology. It's just the awareness. Leaders who understand how their teams are using these tools will be able to guide the conversation. Protect your organization, and then ultimately, this is what we're looking for, unlock the real benefits. But leaders who ignore it will simply fall further behind in the reality of what's already happening inside their own companies. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Dataliction Essentials. If you have ever wondered whether your team is already using AI, you probably have, or maybe this, if you ever have needed help getting started with your company's AI policy, those 2 things, we've actually built something to help. Head over to dataliction.app, dataliction.app, sign up for free. Yeah, you heard it right. Sign up for free. You can take some quick surveys yourself. Your team can take some quick surveys surveys, and it will help you get an AI policy that's tailored to your organization, get you started. You can, even get a full AI usage report, again, for free, with actionable insights on how to improve both the economics and the security of your team's AI usage. Again, completely free. It's designed to help leaders like you support your teams as you grow together into the future. So go check it out right now today at dataliction.app.